Joan of Arc was born in 1412 in a small village in France during the chaos of the 100 Years' War. France was losing badly to England. Villages were burned, people lived in fear, and hope was fading. At just 13 years old, Joan claims she began hearing voices she believed were sent by God. They told her she had a mission to save France and help the rightful king, Charles VII of France, reclaim his throne. No one believed her at first, but Joan refused to stay silent. At just 17, Joan of Arc stood before Charles VII of France, a king who had lost both his confidence and his kingdom. The court was skeptical. Nobles whispered, advisors doubted her sanity, but Joan spoke with absolute certainty. She claimed her mission was divine. To test her, Charles hid among his court, disguising himself. Yet Joan walked straight through the crowd and identified him instantly. That moment changed everything. Charles, desperate for hope, gave her a chance. Joan was equipped with armor, a horse and a banner, not a sword to conquer, but a symbol to inspire. Her destination, the besieged city of Orléans. The city had been under English control for months. French morale was broken. Defeat seemed inevitable. Then Joan arrived. She didn't fight like a typical commander. She didn't rely on strategy alone. She ignited belief. She rode through the battlefield fearless, carrying her banner into the heart of combat. Even after being wounded by an arrow, she returned to the front lines. Within just 9 days, the impossible happened. The siege of Orléans was lifted. It was more than a victory. It was a psychological turning point in the 100 Years' War. France began to believe again. Joan didn't stop there. She pushed forward, leading a campaign across enemy territory. City after city fell back into French hands. Her ultimate goal, crown the true king. Through dangerous territory, surrounded by enemies, Joan escorted Charles VII to Reims. And there, in a historic ceremony, Charles VII was crowned King of France. A peasant girl had changed the destiny of a nation, but power brings enemies, and Joan's enemies were watching. In 1430, during a military campaign near Compiègne, Joan was captured, not by the English directly, but by Burgundian forces, allies of England. She was sold to the English, abandoned. The same crown she helped secure did nothing to save her. Joan was taken to Rouen and put on trial, but this was no ordinary trial. It was political, it was calculated, it was meant to destroy her. The charges were severe: heresy, witchcraft, claiming to hear voices from God. For months, Joan was interrogated, alone, imprisoned, surrounded by enemies. Yet she never broke. Her answers were sharp, fearless, and unwavering. Even under the threat of death, she refused to deny her visions. At one point, exhausted and pressured, she signed a confession. But days later, she took it back. She chose truth over survival. That sealed her fate. In 1431, at just 19 years old, Joan of Arc was sentenced to death. She was led to the stake in the marketplace of Rouen. As the flames rose, witnesses said she called out the name of Jesus. Even some of her enemies wept. She died as she lived, unshaken. Years later, the truth began to surface. The trial was re-examined. Witnesses spoke, evidence emerged, and the verdict was clear. She had been wrongfully condemned. Joan of Arc was declared innocent. Centuries later, she was canonized as a saint. From a poor village girl to a warrior to a martyr, Joan became immortal, not just in history, but in legend. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below who you want next.